Hello and welcome to the Blue North. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about the 2020 election between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. It seems that Joe Biden has snuck his way into the Democrat uh, nomination. Uh, Bernie Sanders again was pushed to the side, second election in a row. But the scary problem, the real story behind this all, is that Joe, I don't think, is even cognitively sound enough to be the candidate. If he does win by some long shot and beats Donald Trump, what is going to happen? And who will be the president? Well, it'll be the vice. Whoever is on the card with Joe will become the new president of the United States. And sound, being in the throes of the early stages of dementia is where I think Joe is. He really could be coming up with some other scenarios. So another scenario that I think could be happening is that Joe is afraid to mention anything like the word God or anything else because we're seeing gaffe after gaffe after gaffe on his videos, and he's really got no answers for anything, and he stalls on when someone asks him how many genders are there or some of these simple questions. He really has no answer, and he's terrified to answer them. So there's really three scenarios going on in Joe's world right now. One is that he's afraid to mention anything like the word God because he doesn't want to lose all of the fringe votes. Now, when I say the fringe votes, he's hoping to get every fringe group. That's what's backing the Democrats. We have the gender issue. We have anti-Christian. We have a lot of these groups are lining up behind the Democrats. And Biden really needs to win all of these groups in order to have a chance to beat Donald Trump. So he knows this. So part of the scenario is that he's hoping to not say anything offensive to any of those fringe groups so that he loses any one of them or he loses all of them in a bit of like an avalanche like uh, happening after saying something that the mainstream media or social media will really have an avalanche effect. So the second thing that could be going on is that he's just cognitively losing it. He's in the early stages of dementia. And I think that there's probably a good chance that that's what's going on. I think that when he has such a trouble putting together sentences and when he has a trouble answering questions and he's not really sure, he put a video out there when they were asking him about the cure. You got to find this and that and about the cure. He was actually answering like the cure was the disease. He was so confused about what the cure was. He he has a lot of issues where he's in front of people. He loses track of what he's saying. He doesn't remember where he's going with his stories. He doesn't remember where he's going with his answers. And the mainstream media are on his side. They're really his best friends. And they're giving him the softest possible questions. They're not asking him the tough questions like this woman that's accusing him of sexual misconduct. Um, so if that was a conservative, he would be bombarded daily with the questions of this woman's allegations against him. So Joe's really getting it easy by the standard of like what Donald Trump is going to get from the mainstream media. So if he's having a hard time already with the mainstream media's questions or with anybody's questions or impromptu questions, we're really going to have a trouble. We're really going to have trouble with him trying to get any kind of answer out of him at a debate, or if needed by other world leaders, or if we need him to stand up and be a leader. There's going to be a lot of issues come forward. Donald Trump and Joe Biden have to be on the same stage for a debate. They just have to. It is something that the American people deserve and need to see. They need to see the ability of Joe, if he has it, to stand up there with the president and exchange any kind of debate like questions and answers. He has to show that he's presidential. Donald Trump doesn't really show that he's presidential when he answers questions sometimes, but he can stand up there with the best of them, take it on the chin, and he can definitely dish it out. So after 4 years in power, where Obama started to look like an old man by now, Trump is looking like he hasn't been affected at all, and he's had one of the worst presidencies as way by way of the mainstream media attacking him, the Democrats attacking him. He's endured more BS from the left than any president in history, if you ask me, and he's really come out of it on top. So what we have going on now is the third scenario, which is that Joe Biden, he could be just playing it safe, not saying anything to offend anybody. He could be losing it cognitively, or he could really be just the patsy of the Democrat Party themselves, thinking that this is a lost cause and there's no way they're going to beat Donald Trump, not with the numbers he's had and now with this pandemic and the way he's handling it, even though everybody's coming out that's a Democrat piling on, saying that it's pretty much all Donald Trump's fault for the pandemic and the handling. March 11th, De Blasio was saying, "Get out there and ride that subway and get out and share. It's not a plague. It's not this. It's not that." And then turned around and blamed Trump for abandoning New York. But the health minister of New York and two senators did the same thing. Get out there and get into Chinatown and do this and do that and share it and get to the subway, get to the parade. I'll be there. So, even when the Comfort was docking in New York, De Blasio was saying Trump has to do more. Here's a boat the size of an aircraft carrier full of medical supplies and medical team, and he's crying for more and more and more. But you're the person that was promoting everybody getting out there, sharing and getting this disease and spreading it. So the Democrats really know that they have not a whole lot going on, I think, as far as being able to beat Donald Trump in this election. So I think they might be putting a patsy up. And what I mean by that is somebody that's going to fall on the sword for them this time around. And they'll just concern themselves and hope that they keep the Senate and the House or something like that. They only have the House now, but they're going to try to focus on winning the Senate and the House so that they can definitely push forward an impeachment and get rid of Donald Trump through the back door. So I think that it's sad. I think it's ridiculous that this is what's going on. But I think that all three of these scenarios might be playing out at the same time. I think that Joe does suffer from some sort of early onset of dementia. I really do. I think that not only that, I think that he is afraid to mention anything like the word God so that he doesn't lose any of these fringe supports. And I think that the Democrats definitely want him to fall on the sword, and we'll see who he picks for a running mate, because it pretty much will be an end to their career too, I think. It just was I think there's a trifecta of things going on here. And unfortunately, uh, Joe Biden is going to need some sort of medical help. He just is falling apart on simple, easy questions that the media would just never ask such soft and easy questions of anything. Anybody on the right, any conservative would be going in facing tough questions, especially if there was a sexual allegation leveled against them. So uh, I think he's going to have a really hard time when it comes down to the debate questions. I think he knows that. I think that's why he wants to Skype. I think that he wants to mail in. This is the party that lost 33,000 emails. Then now they want to have a vote by way of mail in. And we already seen what they did in Florida at the midterms for the Senate and House. We had all kinds of problems in Florida and was it Carolina? No, not Carolina. It was Colorado. And the Democrats were caught cheating there. Ballot boxes found in car trunks at the airport and whatnot and what have you. It's just a sad, sad scenario that the Democrats are so underhanded and working on all kinds of things, really deceitful and underhanded, right across the board. Now, what have they done in the last 4 years other than impeach Trump? Well, they worked on the Mueller report. Don't forget that, and they worked on getting rid of Judge Kavanaugh from the Supreme Court. Well, that didn't work. So nothing they've really come up with has worked so far. But that doesn't stop them from trying. And I think that what they're doing is they're picking a guy that really is at the end of his career. It's not going to hurt it. He's 77 years old, and I think he'll be. This is his last hurrah, so it won't really bother him that if he doesn't get elected and he's not going to have one on the chin for the team. Like, he'll take one on the chin for the team, but it's not going to affect him for the next round. Bernie would be a worse bet because Bernie and his socialism would cause a lot of people that are Democrat supporters to vote for the Republicans just based on the fact that socialism is just ridiculous and has no use in any country because it's never worked. So moving forward, I think they had to do something against Bernie to get him to not run, because in the end it would have just been a real bullet in the foot for themselves. But they got to figure out now a way of getting Bernie supporters to back Biden. And I think that anybody that would be backing Bernie would be young and wanting free stuff, and they were really a different breed. So these people that are backing Bernie are going to have a hard time backing Biden when he's showing a lot of signs of being incompetent. And that's something that Bernie did not have. I'll give Bernie the credit where credit is due. He was very articulate. He's very sharp. He really knows what he's selling, and he could sell it very well. He can get his message across. And when you have a guy like that, and then you go to Joe Biden, and you listen to Joe Biden speak, and it's really like he just can't put thoughts together. He just cannot put any kind of thoughts together and run with it and answer a question and come back and re-answer the question, because the reporters are going to ask a few different ways to get that answer, and they want to reiterate what's going on, and they really want uh, justification for what you're giving as an answer. They're going to want examples, and if Joe can't do that, if Joe's not able to think on his feet and just run with it, and he's going to have a really difficult time, because Trump is as comfortable in front of that microphone and podium. He does not get phased. He does not get nervous. He does not come up with no answer. And if he does, he has a way of Ronald Reagan his way out of it. He can laugh and joke around a little bit like Ronald Reagan did, and it just is almost endearing. So I think moving forward, we're going to have the most entertaining debates if we can get these two men on the same stage. We definitely are going to see the decline in Joe Biden. I think that's going to be there. But moving forward, this is something that definitely needs to happen. The American people deserve to have these two men stand on the same stage. They definitely need to have some solid answers. They need to see if both men are able to do the job that they're really, vying for. And they want answers. This is a scary time during this pandemic, and people want answers, and they want to know that the guy in charge is the best guy in charge, right? So I think it's going to be an interesting run, and we're going to keep an eye on it here at the Blue North. If you want to check out some audio, I have a podcast under the Blue North on SoundCloud and on Podbean. So SoundCloud and Podbean, they're both under the Blue North, and I have quite a few of them there just under audio. So I'm going to be doing audio and some video. So stay tuned for more podcasts on the Blue North.